spot in the wild. This is going to be a black rhino that is on our left-hand side. Looks like it is eating off of that log there. Pretty amazing to see. Like I said, one of the hardest animals to see in the wild. Shy, reclusive, extremely rare too. One of the rarest of rhinos. About a decade ago, there was less than 5,000 of these animals in the entire world. Their numbers have since nearly doubled thanks to some awesome conservation efforts. It is looking at the black rhino as well, a rhino across the globe. You might have seen that rhino wasn't really colored black. It was more of a brown rhino. Definitely has been rolling around in the mud. They do that to help protect their skin. So one last spot that I want to check over on this left-hand side. Sometimes we find animals over on these hills here. I don't see anyone. I do want to look over down by this watering hole though. There's a little small one over here. Sometimes they're in the corners. In between the two bushes over there, there is a gray antelope. It is a greater kudu. It's way back there. You can see she's faced away from us. She's just sitting down. You can see her white stripes that she has on her body. She is a she. Only male greater kudus have horns. There's one on the spotting guide. That's a male. That was a female though. There was also a bongo back there too. I very briefly spotted it. We call them the ghosts of the forest. They're really good at hiding. So that's going to do it for the forest ecosystem. We'll move on here and take our next right, and that'll lead us down to the Safi River Valley, which is the largest river here in the reserve. So let's see what we can find here today. Mostly aquatic and semi-aquatic animals. On the right-hand side, there's going to be some large gray birds along the sides of the riverbank here. These are pink-backed pelicans. They're mostly gray in color. They have a little bit of pink on their back, on their bill. That's where they get their name from. But the most noteworthy thing about the pink-backed pelican is actually how large they are. They're one of the largest flighted birds on Earth, having a wingspan that's up to 9 feet wide. Stay seated for me, please. Just make sure everyone is staying on a bench for me. And 9 feet wide is the same width as those benches that you're going to be sitting on. And almost as large as the canopy that is above your heads. Very, very large birds. They can fly for about 24 hours straight. Long time in the air. Alright, now we're going to keep our eyes peeled. We're looking for things like ripples, bubbles, and shadows that might indicate that there could be an animal under the water. Most of these animals that are in the river are semi-aquatic and spend the majority of their day under the water. It is looking pretty still right now, so I want to go check around the corner. There's a group of waterfalls coming up on it. Sometimes we find, I don't think we're going to see. I do want to check on the other side of these rocks though. Sometimes we find animals on the opposite side over here. So there is a Nile crocodile. It's on your left. It's underneath the log, underneath the water. Keep your eyes peeled, but I do need once again everyone to stay seated for me. Stay seated. This is a Nile crocodile, a very defensive territorial animal that does eat whatever moves in front of its face. Not kidding. They will really eat anything because they are omnivores. And crocodiles eat up to half of their body weight in one singular sitting. They can't go mud food at all though. When food is scarce, conserve. If there are any temperature canals, almost a internal on the sun to help or cool them. Now our scenery is about to change in some pretty major ways, so we're about to make our way down into the savanna here. The savanna and its grasslands are larger and home to more animals than all of the other ecosystems combined. Because most of the animals that live out here are going to be migrators. In fact, literally millions of animals will travel across these grasslands every single year, looking for things like food, water, or a place to have their young. So, let's see if we can find out here. I think I already saw some migrators. Some of the best migrators in the world are going to be zebras. There are a few zebras on our right-hand side. They're pretty far away, out towards that middle section of the savanna there. We're going to get closer to them in a few moments. Looks like there's also, I missed the Ankole cattle. There's Ankole cattle on the corner back there. We'll come back to them. There is a that is walking towards us right now. It's going to be one on the right, the female is on the left hand. It's going to be squeezing. So there, I'm going to try and talk really quick because there are so many of them. All right, elands, largest antelope species on Earth. There's a male on the right, female on the left. Fully grown, a male like that one can weigh 2,200 pounds or just over a ton, and he can jump 6 feet in the air. Surprisingly agile. Hello there. This is a female. She's a little bit smaller. She has skinnier but longer horns. There you go. Males try to impress the females by wearing crowns of like grass and leaves on their head. They dig them in the bushes, wear them, try to impress them. On the left-hand side, under the den there, you're going to see the African painted dog, which are these beautiful spotted animals that are laying down under there. Painted dogs are the best hunter in the entire savannah. They're actually better at hunting than lions and hyenas combined, and that is thanks to teamwork and endurance. It's literally the best hunter in the entire savannah. It's not even a joke. Related to dogs that you might have at your own home, part of the canine family, very, very closely related. So there are going to be some Maasai giraffes around us, but really quickly, I want to talk about the emblem of our reserve here. That would be the sable antelope on both sides of the truck. Here, the brown animals with really big horns. But check out how sharp they are on the end. Sables are emblem because they're one of the only animals that will choose to fight instead of running away. That, my friend, baby, that is the new reserve here. It's over 6 months old still, 9 to 12, very, very soft there. See the other members of the group name for pretty self-explanatory. Over every animal, and the one is they get up to be 8-inch jump with these giraffes. It's 20 feet tall animals. They're called towering over everyone. Giraffes are relatively simple animals. They spend most of their days standing up and eating. You rarely ever see giraffes sitting. It takes a lot of energy to get back up. Now, before we do talk about these zebras, I want to talk about the Ankole cattle really quickly, because I missed it. On our right-hand side here, they're back there. They're all laying down. They're brown animals with really big horns. They're up to 8 feet long, tip to tip. They're all laying down back there. Ankole cattle are one of the first animals to be domesticated ever. That was over 2,000 years ago, and they were domesticated as a a status symbol, basically, for farmers. These are Hartman's mountain zebra on the right-hand side. These beautiful striped animals. They are really, really good migrators. I'm going to pull up farther so we can get closer to the wildebeest as well. So the zebras and the wildebeest, they actually are pretty good friends. They like to migrate together. It makes it easier for them to survive these long passings and long crossings. They're both friendly and non-territorial, so they'd rather just go together. It makes it safer and easier for them to survive. Zebras can do about 300 miles at a time. Meanwhile, the wildebeest can do about 1,000 miles at a time before they need to take a major break. Wildebeest are literally one of the best migrators in the entire world. I can also see the other member of the giraffe tower there. Giraffes eat off of trees and bushes. They're a browsing animal, not a grazer. A grazer is going to eat off the ground. Ankole cattle, wildebeest, zebras, they are all grazers. They eat grass off the ground. Giraffes, though, spend 16 to 20 hours out of their entire day just eating. That is a lot of time spent eating. That's how they get the energy that they need to stay awake for so long, and that's how they get some of the water that they need to survive. It is pretty difficult for a giraffe to dip its head all the way down to a watering hole, so if they can access some of the water from the leaves themselves, they will. Alright, now we're heading out to the northern section of the savannah now. Hopefully we can find some pretty interesting animals, maybe the animal that's been knocking down all these trees around us, so we'll keep an eye out. We're also headed towards another watering hole. On the right-hand side, you're going to see the largest land mammals on Earth. Those would be fins. Over there, look and see them better. Hold on, really quickly. There's a mandrill. There's 3 mandrills on our left-hand side. That's awesome. Yes, if you know Rafiki is a mandrill. They have this beautiful blue and red color on their backside and on the front of their faces. Especially that male right there, the really big one. He is a lot brighter than the other two. If he turns and you see his face, it is very brightly colored. He'll weigh 100 pounds to be the size of a medium-sized dog. They're really big for being a monkey. There's those African elephants on your right-hand side. Both females, we know this because they're being social and there's more than one of them in one spot. Males are solitary animals. They are kicked out of their families at a young age. That is normal for being a male. Females, on the other hand, they're highly social, so if you see more than one, probably going to be females. If you see just one, probably a male. Bulldozers of the savannah. They knock down trees, makes it easier for them to get food because they will take in up to 400 pounds worth of food every single day. That is a lot of food. That's one of the only ways that they can get up to their large size. So we're gonna head deeper into elephant country here. Hopefully we can maybe go find a male or maybe even another herd of females here. All right, now we're